It is Bassmaster Classic week, and we have a two-time Bassmaster Classic qualifier, a former collegiate Bassmaster champion, a former Elite Series champion, the current leader in Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year points from Union City, Tennessee. John Garrett joins me this week on...
I'm Bob Cobb from the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
Welcome one, welcome all, friends, family, freeloaders, fishing freaks, and of course you, my humpers. Happy hump day to all of you, and welcome into the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast that goes by my last name, which is Mercer. This is the 204th edition of the Mercer Podcast, and I hope wherever you are in the world, whether you're watching this or listening to this, that life is treating you well. It is a wonderful time of year. It is a special, special week. That's right, it is Classic Week, and one of my favorite weeks of the entire year. Call it what you want, the Super Bowl of bass fishing, the Catalina wine mixer of bass fishing, the greatest spectacle in all of sport fishing. It is all that wrapped up into a ball, and it's here. And it is in Fort Worth, Texas. I hope to see a bunch of you there. Reports are we're going to see some giant fish. And will we see a new 3-day classic weight record? Maybe. I think we're going to see some exciting stuff. It's been a while since there's been a classic with the potential to have as many big fish as we're going to see here this week on Lake Ray Roberts. So yeah, that's going to be fun. And it would have been an easy week for me to be like, you know what? I'm at the Classic. I'm busy. There's a lot going on. We're not going to have a podcast. But you know I'm not going to do that to you guys. We definitely have a podcast. And not only do we have a podcast, but we have it with the current leader in Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year points. He talks about a lot of things. He talks about his young career in the Elite Series. He talks about UFOs. He talks about walking in the middle of a drug bust. He talks about a lot of strange things, but hopefully he doesn't screw up our pattern. Because if you remember, the last guest we had before last year's Bassmaster Classic was Justin Hamner, and now we're having John Garrett. So will he win the Bassmaster Classic? There's only, 54 other people that have something to say about that. The Classic is always the toughest one to predict because it really is. It's just a wild, wild tournament. Speaking of wild things, before we get into this podcast, got to remind everybody, Officially Unofficial came out this week, the third edition of Officially Unofficial, and this one gets a little spicy. We talk about what is probably the spiciest, if not the spiciest, the hottest topic in pro fishing right now, and that is the no information rule. You have heard a lot of people's opinions online. I got 4 anglers and 4 incredible anglers. We have Gerald Swindle, Jeff Gustafson, Seth Fighter, and Greg Hackney. And I get their opinion on the no information rule. Good, bad, or ugly. So make sure you check that out. It is on Bassmaster.com. I will put the links down below in the comments and in the description. Make sure to check that out. Because if you like this podcast, there's a good chance you will like that podcast. At least I'm hoping. I'm also hoping to run into a bunch of you in Fort Worth, and I am generally heard a lot, but not seen a lot at the Classic because I'm never in one area for very long. But each day you can find me at Takeoff. I will be at Takeoff each and every morning, and that is at 7:30. The boats start to leave, so you can find me there. If you don't find me there, and really how you find me is you just holler my name when you see me, and I'll try to get to you. I will also be at the expo each and every day. I will be in the Bassmaster booth, doing some Bass Live, doing the halftime show, different things we got going on. That starts at 10 a.m. local time, 11 o'clock Eastern time. So if you're watching online, you can check that out at 11:30. 11:30 the first day, I believe. I believe we're a half hour back on Friday, but Saturday and Sunday, 10 o'clock local, 11 o'clock Eastern time. There'll be a schedule out there somewhere, but I'd love to meet you guys there. Make sure you holler at me there. And then obviously I will be at the weigh-in in the afternoon. Hard for me to kind of break away from being on stage, but holler at me because I'd love to see you guys. It's always great to meet humpers. Another thing that you can watch during the Bassmaster Classic, Many of you have watched it. Actually, it really feels like this season it has blown up. Mercer in the morning. I run around approximately 1 hour before the official takeoff time. So for this event, I'll be running around 6:30 in the morning. I'll be running around doing Mercer in the morning. You can watch it live on Instagram and YouTube, and it's very candid. Anglers aren't quite awake. We kind of go in many different directions, but check that out, Mercer in the morning. Oh, but there's more. Oh, one thing I have to remind you guys on. If you are attending the Bassmaster Classic this year, there is a rule. I don't know if it's a Texas rule or if it's a Fort Worth rule or what it is, but there's a rule that everybody needs a ticket to get into the. My hat has been causing me issues. It is. What? There. Is it straight? No, it looks off. Whatever it is, okay? Stop it. If you're listening to the audio thing, this means nothing, but my hat has been going many different directions. I don't know if it's a Texas rule or if it's a Fort Worth rule, but everybody needs a ticket to get into weigh-in. Don't worry, it is still free of charge. You need to get that ticket through Ticketmaster. There'll be advertising all over the place. There is a Bassmaster Classic app that I recommend that you download because it's going to allow you to do kind of a light show during the weigh-in. It's also going to allow you to give you reminders of what's going on around the Classic, at the Expo, at the weigh-in, the Celebrity Pro-Am, all sorts of stuff going on, which I'll also be at the Celebrity Pro-Am, emceeing that and doing some interviews with those guys. So that'll be fun. But make sure you download that app. Get your tickets from Ticketmaster. They are free of charge. It's just a Fort Worth or Texas law that everybody has to have a ticket to come into the weigh-in. So let's jam that place. Let's have a lot of fun. It's going to be a wonderful Bassmaster Classic. That being said, I need to get onto a plane and leave right now. So we might as well just jump into this show very quickly. I hope to see you all at the Bassmaster Classic. I think I hit on everything that I put on my little list here. Look at me making a list. I'm very, very prepared. So find me at the Bassmaster Classic. Would love to meet you all. And without further ado, let's jump into things with our current leader in Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year points. A young angler that, well, really has just felt mature since the first time I met him. But without further ado, let's jump into things with one John Garrett. John Garrett, life is freaking good. You're about to fish your second Bassmaster Classic. You are leading Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year, hot off a rookie season where you finished in the top 10 in Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year, won your first elite in only 3 tries, and dude, your first 2 events of this year have been top 5s. Life is pretty freaking good.
Life is rolling. I mean, the fishing part of it is just a small portion of what I'm considering success. I mean, wife and kids traveling with me this year, had a easy work off season, a good duck season, and catching a few bass. I mean, that's all a good recipe put together.
How long do you commit? Like, because duck season for you is like an all-in thing, right?
Yep.
How
Yep.
long is that?
It's 60 days. So from December 5th to January 31st, I work 58 of the 60. I take Christmas Eve and Christmas off. Me and my workers take those 2 days off, but it is every day, no matter the weather, no matter how cold it is. We're taking clients out for, pretty much 60 straight days.
Wow. Do you do you think that helps you on the elites? Like, I mean, obviously it's a job, but the break from, because it's total opposite to what you're doing right now.
Yeah, yeah. Um, there is times like on the water success, I believe it helps me because
Yeah.
I have not picked a rod up since the last day of St. Lawrence River last year until the first day of practice this year. It was the
Come
first time
on.
I picked a rod up. Yep. Um, I think it
Wow.
does me. Yeah, I think it does me well. I've been, through high school and college. I went all off seasons just fishing, fishing, fishing. But I think it helps me have a clear slate of mind because we don't ever start the season off where I'm from in the mid South. we always Florida, Texas, or South
Yeah.
Alabama. We always start somewhere further south. So nothing that I would be doing here would really be helping me out to wherever we go. So I really enter the season every year with just fresh slate of mind. I mean, I don't even I'm dialing up my depth finders, tuning my graphs in. I mean, I'm doing everything from a clean slate every single time, and I mean everything's clean. I don't save waypoints. I don't, don't do any pre fishing. I don't do any of that stuff. So I just really like a fresh mind when I enter the season, and me spending 60 days in a duck line. Now, fishing is not a part of that. Now, it does set me behind on getting the truck and boat wrapped, getting my jerseys done, finalizing, some partnership kind of stuff. It does put me behind in that aspect. But as far as on the water, I'm not saying I do it on purpose, but I haven't shied away from my business because I'm not saying it helps me, but I really don't think it hurts me at all. So um, we'll keep rolling like that for sure.
I mean, it definitely seems to be working. And I,
Yeah.
I, I think there's a theory behind it. I mean, there's people who never leave the water, but I also think there's a theory like you're hungry, like you haven't
Yeah.
done it in a while. I mean, and I obviously relate with that. And everybody that lives anywhere that has a bass season, you're
Yeah.
forced to actually,
Yeah.
which seems bizarre to some parts of the world that there is such a thing as a bass season. But you lost me there, or had me there, or shocked the crap out of me there when you said you get red away points. Like you do not go into a new season with the previous season's waypoints.
No, no, I don't.
Wow.
When I sell my boat every year, I delete all tracks, all waypoints, everything. There is a handful of special spots that, I got the way, I know exactly where they are up here because most of the time, if something is special enough to make an impact on me, I could drive you right to it, every single time. Um, but there's so many times where I'm going on a body of water, and especially in the past, I'd save brush piles, I'd save this and that, and if I go back to that lake with waypoints on it, I'm automatically going back and checking my old brush piles, checking the old rock piles and stumps I found. And a lot of times that's just not the case. That stuff just doesn't work out for me. Like I like to get on my graph, have a clean chart, and run around and find something that I like and say, okay, I caught one doing this. Let me look for more of it. And I'm really bad about, you know, I mean, the past 2 weeks wasn't an example of that, but say we go to St. Lawrence River, I'll be awful about making 100 rock pile waypoints in practice, and I only want to hit 15 of them. Well, then I don't ever remember which ones to hardly hit because I got
Yeah.
100 rock piles marked at 15 good ones. But I just don't like everything cluttered up. Like I said, I'm a really big, I'm not saying believer, but it's just how I operate on the water. It's just clean, fresh, really not fly by the seat of my pants. But if my gut tells me to do something, I'd rather listen to what comes from me than look at my graph and say, you know what, I had a twig marked on that bank from 10 years ago. Let me go fish it. So,
Wow. Do you think that's very different than a lot of people?
yeah,
Like, do you know anyone else in the elites that does that?
I don't really know how a majority of them do their waypoint handling and management and that kind of stuff. But I know a lot of them fish like what I'm talking about, just whatever you feel,
Yeah.
do it. But it's really hard for me to pull out that feeling when I have all these old memories, waypoints and tracks and, all that kind of stuff on my graph and in my mind. And that's another reason why I don't pre-practice. I just I don't want
You
a
want
clogged up
it.
brain. Yeah.
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 How freaking frustrating was it for you last year to hear nothing but like these rookies are buying waypoints and you're like, well, I don't even start with freaking waypoints.
Yeah. No, it wasn't frustrating to me just because I knew when all the talk was coming about, I'm like, well, I have absolutely nothing to do with any of that. So it didn't bother me at all. And um, I think we all just got tired of hearing it in a general sense, but
Yeah.
um, it didn't bother me at all.
Have you been overtly mean to the rookies this year just because?
No, but every time I see him, I'm like, them dang rookies. I can't stand you. I make sure I give them a little bit when I walk by. Um, and especially the tanks when they got bags. I'm like, what you got, Tucker? He's like, oh, I got this. Like, freaking cheater. I just always, I'm going to say something and probably to every rookie class coming up just because of what we had to hear last year. So yeah,
I,
I don't feel that way, but I'm going to make sure they hear a little bit.
I have a theory. And we'll see how it works out. We'll have to see in 10 years from now. But you guys did. I mean, and in some situations, it was just there was things that happened. But I mean, you guys did probably put up with more and definitely more publicly than any rookie class before you. So I feel like 10 years from now, I feel like everyone that went through that is going to be a better steward to the new rookies just because they're like, yeah, I'm in that situation. I'm not going to be that way, So I feel like 10 years
Yeah.
from now, the rookies will be like, everyone's super welcoming here. How do you think
Yeah,
that'll
that's
work?
I think for the most part, you're right. Until 10 years from now, they come out with something crazy that I can't understand how to operate and it just makes bass fly in your live well. I might get a little cranky then. But right now, you're right. But we'll see what happens in 10 years.
Yeah, well, those bass flying in the live well. I mean, Polnick's victory proved that. We watched him for hours, like staring at just hordes of big fish that weren't biting.
Yep.
But if you've never used forward-facing sonar, you do believe that they will jump into your boat. But I tell people all the time, come on fishing with me. I will show you how ineffective it can be at times. It is a
Yeah, for sure.
incredible thing at times, but there's times when it'll make you frustrated. Why is this season off to such a good start, do you think?
I, I really don't know, to be completely honest with you. When the schedule came out, even though I won the tournament in Florida last year, when the schedule came out, I was like, man, that was such a nice start in Texas last year. I was able to, you know, use our technology to get by with some decent finishes and had some fun. But now we're going to two places. I had only seen Rodman last year. I've seen Between Takeoff and Rodman last year. I was coming off that win, had one day of practice, went to Rodman, went there in the tournament. So I had really not even seen the St. Johns River. And out of all the tournament bass fishing I've done in the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years, I've never been to Okeechobee. So I'm like, I have the two of the biggest bodies of water that I could go to, and I got 3 days to break them down. Never seen them. Like, of course, the season's going to start out this way. And I don't know why. I don't really don't know how it got off to such a good start. Um, I mean, it just did. I didn't have good practices at either event. I had a practice at St. Johns River. I know we always sandbag practice, but I had a practice at St. Johns River that I really felt like was going to get me by. I was like, I could cut a check doing this. I was catching spawners and frog garters and canals. And day three of that event, um, everything had changed. Current started rolling, and I started doing what I like to do, which I had kind of got onto a little bit in practice, but it fizzled out. But the conditions changed back up for it. Now, landed on that big bag of fish and boosted me for a good tournament just that one day, really.
Yeah.
And then at Okeechobee, I thought there was like 0% chance I was going to cut a check. And I had not caught a 3 pound bass in 3 full days of Okeechobee fishing. And, everybody catches a couple lucky big ones in practice. I didn't see that. I had literally not caught a 3 pounder. So I went into an area that I had got a couple small bites in. And the same area, one of my roommates said, hey, I got a couple small bites in there too. So I just went in there really to fill a limit and caught 10.5 pounds there the first day. Didn't find anything else. Spent the next 5 hours kind of practicing on the lake. Didn't get another bite. Went back in there day two, and they went from this big. Let me get my camera right here to that big. They got big on me, and they just swam in and started biting. I mean, me and John Cox were in there day one. It didn't happen, and it happened for us both on day two. So I didn't plan to be in the right place at the right time during those two events. That's just kind of how it transpired.
It I mean, it leads into your way of thinking, though. Like, if you were locked into your pre-fish and your dots, none of that happens, right? I mean, and it's
Yeah,
ironic that you share it with John Cox, because he is like the king of that way of thinking, literally
yeah,
just, I mean, he's told me before, if he could pre-fish for a day, he'd be fine, because in his head, he's like, think of how many times you go to a body of water and you don't catch them the first day, and you come back and you're frustrated and you're like, what? And he said, generally you make a few adjustments and the next day you blast them. He said, so you're
yeah.
actually, you're not chasing something. How did you know things were right on the St. John's to do what you were doing on day 3?
Yeah, so during practice, we didn't have really hard wind. We had hard winds, but not extremely hard winds, kind of like we did during the off day and first day or two of our tournament. And I was fishing down south at Astor, had hard north winds, and the wind had just been blowing in and blowing in, blowing in that river. And as I seen in practice, just natural current flow comes, kind of up, comes from Astor, goes up into George, and has a natural flow to it. And the little bit of time I spent down there, I was able to find a few schools offshore fish, caught some big ones doing it. And of course, first 2 days of tournament, no water moving, and those offshore fish were gone. So I knew that that was a possibility going into day three. And then once I got down there, I seen the water was really rolling. I'm like, okay, I'm almost in 50th. I think I went into the day in 38. I was like, I can only fall 12 spots. Let me get out here where I like to fish and just see if I can get some of those fish showing back up. And my first 4 or 5 stops where I caught in practice, they weren't there, but I, located that school of fish. But just that little taste of, pre-practice I had to know that I could catch them offshore the way I like to fish. And when I got down there day three, I seen the conditions were right for it. And I knew I only had, I could only at the most catch 17, 18 pounds catching frog orders. I'm like, man, I ain't got a whole lot to lose. I can only fall 12 spots. Let me just see if I can hit a home run here. And fortunately enough, we did. So,
I'd say, I'd say, 31 pounds is a freaking home run. And
yeah,
on behalf of all crankbait manufacturers in the world, I think they need to thank you and Brandon Polnick, because if you
yeah,
listen to social media in the offseason, nobody was ever going to catch them on crankbaits. And now we've left Florida with 2 back-to-back events that there was both 30-plus pound bags, and they were both weighed in on crankbaits.
yeah.
Did that shock you, or did you still have faith in cranking?
No, yeah, I still had faith. I told you on stage at St. John's River, um, every time I'm gonna say the deep South, whether South Alabama, Georgia, anywhere with Florida strain bass, if you can find a way to catch to get enough bites on a big crankbait, you're gonna be in a position to win the tournament. Those Florida strain bass are literally the smartest bass that we fish for in the country, and we fish by them 95% of the time, and the 5% of the time we get a bite, it's usually a reaction bite. Um, and we rarely fish for them on the bank. A lot of times they're off the bank, just off lily pads, grass, or whatever. So if you can find a way to catch them cranking and produce 5 bites in the boat a day, you're going to be in a contention to win the tournament. So when I go down to to deep south for Florida strain bass, I always try to push that every single
Yeah.
time. And most of the time you don't find it because it's so hard to find. But when you do, you can get right in a hurry.
Today's high tech fishing world can be a real pain in the neck, especially if you're running the wrong mounts. Beat Down Outdoors, they bring the graph to you. And they support this podcast and care enough about you to make this a short ad read. Check out Beat Down Outdoors. Now back to the show. I'll be totally honest. I mean, a major reason that I'm doing this podcast with you, I told you, is your grandmother sent me the nicest ever viewer email, and I obviously got to know your grandfather at some events and met them both and stuff. And I was deathly afraid of going to the Bassmaster Classic and running into them and saying, I haven't had John in the podcast. So thank you for making it all make sense with
Yeah.
leading Progressive Bassmaster Angler of the Year and everything. But one of the things that has always amazed me about you since the first time I met you, I think it was in 2016 you fished the Classic, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. So when you fished as collegiate champion, dude, I remember watching you walk across the stage and I'm like, that kid is so much more mature than I am right now. Have you always been kind of level-headed and as put together as you seem from the outside?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, um my granddad, basically raised me, and he was exact same way. I mean, great sense of humor, but not a lot of weird joking around, you know what I mean? Like, he'll crack up with anybody, he'll cut jokes, but I just got it from him because I mean, I was under his arm since I was a little kid, so, yeah, yep, I've pretty much always been this way, you know, cut up a lot, but don't don't play around too much, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
that's just how he was, so I've always been that way.
Business is business.
Yeah.
When did you know you needed to do this? Like when you were a kid, I know you started fishing tournaments ridiculously early, like 10 years old or something like that. But did you have a moment where you're like, man, I need to do this for a living?
I so this My granddad, it's a shame on me I don't know the year of this, but my granddad at his marina, he runs a boat shop. He had on VCR, the old tape things you put in the TV, the
You
classic that
don't have
Jay
to
Ellis.
explain them to me, just so you know, I
Yeah.
understand what a
Well, how
VCR
about
is.
all the viewers younger than I might need an explanation for it. Um, but he had the classic that Jay Ellis won on Lay Lake, and
Yeah.
he caught like 5 of his big fish on one single cypress tree. And we grew up on a lake here, Reelfoot Lake, that's just full of cypress trees and lily pads. And I watched that VCR tape probably 100 times in that bow shop. And I absolutely love the fact that somebody could do that for a living. And I don't know, something tied me together with that cypress tree and where I live and whatnot. But had always loved tournament fishing. But right then I was like, that would be awesome to do. But the, you know, realization of it was like, I'm probably not gonna be able to do that. And coming out of high school, I fished, all the way up through high school. Coming out of high school, I had no idea what I was going to do. And the coach at Bethlehem University, Gary Mason, walked in to that marina and offered me a scholarship to go fishing for Bethel. And
Wow.
had no plans to go fishing in college. And I was like, you know what? My granddad and parents are probably not going to get onto me for fishing while I'm on a fishing scholarship. But they would get onto me if I was at home not working and fishing. So that's the only reason I took that scholarship because I could fish for another 4 or 5 years without getting in trouble. And that my freshman year, sophomore year, I won that college classic bracket and fished the classic. That's kind of when the light bulb went off. When I got a little taste of it, when I got on stage there at Minute Maid Park and I saw
Yeah.
Jordan Lee, who had just won the classic bracket a couple years later, was basically in my same shoes. And man, that was a special moment for me because that was the moment when I was like, you know what, I would love nothing more to do this. Whether I make $1 or my family is living off of ramen noodles or not, I would really like the opportunity to do this right here. And just fortunate enough that I was able to get a good taste of that in college. Fish the opens for free with a year through Bassmaster, providing the college guy that opportunity. And then when I got out of college, I started fishing the open. So that VCR tape of Jay Ellis and that moment of Jordan Lee winning the classic is probably a combination of the two.
I think everyone's got one of those. I always think that at the classic, there's like everybody's got a different classic that
Yeah.
just really spoke to them. Like, where they were just like, I don't know what. Like, I mean, I can still remember So Robert Hamilton Jr., a former Classic champion, I had already been a Bassmaster fan before that, but for whatever reason, that Classic struck. But I can still remember like the exact words he said when he won. Like on stage, he was like, "Other than my unbelievable faith in the Lord Jesus Christ and the birth of my two children, this is the greatest day of my life." Like it's so weird but that's from watching that over. Like I can recite half the things that Bob Cobb said, you know, over the years. It's just it's amazing the impact that had on so many people. But Jordan winning, I've always thought that him winning is huge, and for him obviously, but I also think it had to have a huge impact on all of you, just because up to that point there was different collegiate people. I mean, I think I know Andrew Upshaw was the first collegiate competitor. So there's been different competitors, but it kind of was like, these collegiate guys come and they fish and it's a cool story, but it didn't really feel like one of them was going to win. And then Jordan, I mean, in his first Classic that he fished a collegiate competitor, day one goes different, and he is a 3-time Classic champion today.
Yeah.
So that was the closest. And then to see him go, so what did that, am I overthinking that, or did watching him win, did it change things for all of you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that of course the classics early in the year, so we are basically starting a new college bass season up until that point. And literally, Jordan won that classic, and I believe our next regional was Bass Regional was at Cherokee Lake. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was. And there was a totally different feel in that room for everybody. I mean, not only were people was like, "Man, that's awesome," and it lit everybody's eyes up. Like, you know what? Everybody in this room has an opportunity to do that. But it seemed from that point forward, that college bass fishing stage was taken a lot more seriously. It instantly got more competitive. People were out to win. They weren't there on vacation. And I just felt like from that point on, you know, not including high school fishing, but just college fishing directly after he won that classic, it was totally different. Because I mean, kind of like John Cox, Jordan Lee is that, just go with the flow. I don't really care about it, just that kind of person. And that sums up 75% of the college bass fishing world. And having someone like him win, it definitely changed. Maybe not the sport. That might be going too far, but maybe not. I mean, I know it changed college bass fishing as a whole. That no doubt in my mind about that.
Without college bass fishing, do you think you're doing this today?
No, there's not a chance. There would be a pretty good chance that I would not even own a glass bass fishing boat.
Really?
Um, yeah, I believe that I would probably have an aluminum boat that I duck hunted out of and put a trolling motor on after duck season. Because before that college bass fishing offer I had to Bethel, like I said, I had no idea what I was going to do. And the last thing that I probably would have done is taken the few cents I had and entered a bass open. I mean, realistically,
Yeah.
maybe down the road I would have. It's hard to say what would have happened, but I know, in the near future, within a couple years, that's probably not in the plans for me.
Wow. Just you saying that makes me feel like such an idiot, just simply because I don't know if you've ever heard me tell this. I tell it as often as possible because I believe when you make a mistake, you might as well own up to it. Jerry McInnes was the big proponent that said, hey, a collegiate angler has to go to the Bassmaster Classic. And I remember arguing with Jerry and being like, nah, that's nuts. We can't just give this college kid a free pass to the Classic, because at the time, and I still feel this way, I'm always trying to, the dudes that put their whole life on the line, I'm trying to fight for them. And at the time it just seemed so like we're just gonna give this free ticket to a kid from college. I have since been reminded so many times that like how stupid I was and how off base I was. Just because, I mean, you look at what it's done to collegiate fishing, how many lives it's changed, I mean, just look at all of you guys, how much connection there is between it's truly one of the most amazing things in the history, not just for your career, but for the sport. I mean, there was a time we used to wonder, well, there's no young people fishing, and now people are like, oh, there's too many freaking young
Yeah.
people fishing, and a lot
Yeah.
of it's because of collegiate fishing. Um,
Yeah.
but I
I'm
gotta
gonna
get,
say one. I'm gonna say
yeah,
one thing on
bring it.
that before you jump something else. So, I know coming, at me speaking for myself, and I think a lot of the other guys that you see a lot of the classic bracket champions are now in the elite series, doing well in the opens, making a name for themselves. I don't really think that is because they were the best college fishermen that year, that time, or anything like that. I think it's because, like, when I qualified and I fished that classic, I had that experience, and you get that taste of what it's really like. And then that taste, puts a foot in your butt, and it's like, get your butt in gear, earn your way back. And I think it just makes the person that wins that classic bracket work harder to get to that platform. I
Yeah,
really do think that. Because if I feel like if they give out 4 or 5, I'm not saying they should, but if they gave out more opportunities like that, I think you'd see more people like myself and Cody Huff and the people that come through that path would get to where they are today. But definitely a good opportunity they give out.
yeah, yeah. No, it's an amazing program, and it you see, I mean, I think it gets way under, and I think it's nobody's really ever dissected it, like why it's so successful. Like it's not just that; it's what it's made schools do. It's what it's
Yeah,
made coaches. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, it went from. Let's be honest. Before that, it was clubbish. You know what I mean? You had
yep,
some serious people, but you had a lot of people who were just, yeah, I like to fish. I'll be part of the bass club. And now, I mean, you kids are getting I mean, you are a prime example. A guy walked in and said, "Hey, here's a scholarship if you want to come." I mean, you.
yeah.
So, would you have gone to college if that wasn't offered?
No, absolutely not.
Wow, wow,
Would
that's
not have gone to
incredible.
college. Yeah, I would have lived life probably in a duck blind on Reelfoot Lake if that wasn't an offer. So now I'm living life in a duck blind and on a bass boat because of that. So no college was in my plans until that happened.
Wow, it's pretty incredible. Another incredible thing that floated around about you this weekend, and I was very excited about it. I don't know why, but I geeked out about it. Every time you were talking about fishing on live, I was like, Shh, just tell me about the UFO. What happened?
Make sure there's no one watching.
Oh, they're watching. Trust me.
Dave, the more I talk about it, the more I feel like it may come back in my life and try to suck me and my family up in it because I don't know if it's supposed to be talked about or not. Um, but no, we go ahead.
No, you go. You go. I'm not saying a word until you tell me this story. You cannot get out of
Mm,
it.
Okay, tell you the real story, full
All right.
story.
All right.
We were staying on the south side of Okeechobee, and we were making an hour drive every morning. Second morning of the tournament, I was looking to the east because the sun was barely breaking over the horizon. And it was just a nice view. Few palm trees out in the cow pasture, silhouetted by the light sunrise. And I see this dim light, and it's getting closer by half a second. I'm like, this thing is closing the distance. I tell my wife, Morgan, she was talking to the kid. I said, hey, look at this coming across the truck here. And it went as far east as I could see, just in the sunlight, came right across the front of my truck. I mean, it wasn't eye level or anything. It was probably half a mile in the air, but it crossed the front of my truck, and you could see three dim lights on the front of it, kind of in a cup shape. Let me see. Kind of like that was the front
Okay.
of it. And
What color were
it
the
was,
lights?
they're just a light, clear light,
Okay.
like a daylight light bulb.
Okay.
Nothing fancy. And The back of it, I could only see the front because only a small portion of the front was lit up, but I could see like a trail it was leaving. It looked like the back end of a torch with like not the flame part, but like the output of the flame, like just the perimeter of it. It was behind it. So it flew as far east as I could see across the truck and as far west as I could see, completely out of sight in a matter of seconds.
No way of, I mean, a really fast drone.
It was a big drone. If it was a drone, it would have
And to
been
cover
super
that kind of
fast.
distance,
Yep.
like it's cooking. I mean, so it was
Flying.
substantially faster than any plane you've ever see fly past, or
Yeah, you could watch a plane for a good couple minutes, from in sight to out of sight. This thing was seconds. I mean, it was cooking. It was gassing just all the way across the sky.
and what did you do? To just stare at it? Like,
I told my wife, I was like, Morgan, look at this thing. Look at this thing. And it crossed and we were staring at it and it went out of sight. And probably a minute went by and I was like, what was that? She was like, I have no idea. And I didn't know what to think about it. Um, so Morgan did a little Googling, didn't find anything that resembled it because she was like, well, maybe it's a satellite, maybe it's a Starlink, whatever.
yeah.
Um, but old smart man Google didn't nothing popped up that resembled what we seen. I mean, it was early, had been fishing many days in a row, but I saw something crazy and my wife saw it as well. It it's kind of one of those deals like if I had woke up and saw that and went back to sleep, I'd have woke up the next morning just thinking, "Oh, I probably dreamed it,"
It was a dream,
or
yeah.
yeah. So, um, the fact that I was awake and driving and was able to process whatever I saw, makes me. I mean, I did see it. I thought about it quite a bit. I mean, y'all heard me talk about it on Bass Live, but I don't know what it was, but whatever it was makes me feel like I didn't see it, but I know I did.
Do you believe it was a UFO? Like, what do you think?
I mean, it was unidentified, and it was flying object, as I
Yeah.
believe you said. I don't know what it was. I have no idea. Never seen anything like it. But I've also not spent many early mornings in Florida looking at the sky. So it could have been a Disney character flying to Orlando or something. I don't know what it was. Them Florida people got something special down there, but it was something crazy.
It, I mean, if it had been something that everybody saw, you would be able to find it. I mean,
Yep.
people would have been like, "Oh yeah." And as much as it's been talked about, like I haven't heard one person like, dude, you can put anything on the internet, somebody would tell you. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter what. Somebody's going to be like, "Oh, well, that's the this and this." They're going to explain it to you. As much as it's been talked about on Bass Live, on different places, and nobody can explain it. It is definitely. Did you believe? So do you believe in like life in outer space previous
Not
to
really.
this? No.
No, no.
So what the hell was it then? I mean, it was
I don't
just
know.
a.
Could have. I mean, could have been Elon Musk just reporting to work in the morning. I don't know what it was. I I'm not saying what it was because I have no idea. I'm sure there's a lot of things that are here on this country we have no idea about. So I don't know. I don't know what it was. Some kind of military deal, UFO, um,
Who
flying
knows?
bass. Yeah, who knows what it was?
There's weird stuff.
But it
I
was
mean,
something.
they, I mean, definitely. I mean, something that moved that quick. I mean, I'm enthralled. You need to get a freaking dash cam, is what you need to get.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll
You're
never
probably
happen
right.
again, and so the dash cam will be
Yeah,
worth it. If you have a
yeah.
dash cam, it'll never happen again. But I don't know. So this happened at the second event, right? Okeechobee.
Second event, day 2 of Okeechobee. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a weird thing happen. I don't know if they're at all associated. I didn't see anything flying, but I still can't. I'm like, did my mind cross thread or what has happened? But I left the Okeechobee event, and like everybody, I don't know where I'm going. I just know that when my little Waze machine tells me turn right now, I turn right and
You
whatever.
turn right, yeah.
So I'm flying out of Orlando. So I put after the event, I put in the hotel that I'm staying at the night before the flight, and it says an hour and 50 minutes. Okay, no big deal. So I get in, I'm driving, and all is good. And I mean, after an event, it felt like a great Florida swing. I'm happy, life is good, and it's beautiful, beautiful night to drive. It was just a nice night. Everything's good. So I drive for about an hour, 50 minutes to an hour, and I stop at a gas station, need to get gas. I get gas. I get back in my vehicle, and it says continue your drive, and I'm figuring it's going to say about 50 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes. I didn't really keep that. Now it says it's 2 hours and 30 minutes. And I'm like, well, what the, how is it? And it's sending me back like the other direction. So, dude, I do all this searching. I call my wife, Sarah, and I'm like, is there traffic somewhere? Like, what is going, like, I cannot figure out. And then I'm like, well, maybe Waze is screwed up. So I've used like 3 different GPSs systems and they're all sending me like a weird way, but there was no traffic. It was, so I'm like, did I just have like an hour-long vortex in my mind where just time disappeared? But I'm like, this is ridiculous because I was all excited.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to be at the hotel at 7. Nothing like seeing a spacecraft. Maybe I'm just insane, but there is some stuff going on down there. And I think you saw a little bit of it.
The
If
space
you
craft may have got you for an hour.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't remember. Dude, I swear to you, I sat in the parking lot and I'm like, dude, am I losing my mind? Like, how am I, like, how is this? And I re-punched it in. I'm like, how is it possible? I drove for an hour and it was an hour and 50 minutes and now it's 2 hours and 30 minutes. And I'm an hour away from where, like, I mean, and there's no way, like on all those GPS, there's no way I was driving the wrong way. Because that's a simple answer. Oh, you drove the wrong way.
Yeah.
If you've ever tried to do that with Waze or anything, they are incessant. They'll be like, turn left now, turn, like every time to get you to pull a UE. So there's no way that was happening. I don't know what happened, but I feel like, I mean, your encounter was a lot more exciting than mine. Do you think you'll get to the point that you're tired of talking about it?
No, I'll talk about it.
I think you get asked about it a lot. Like,
Until some weird stuff starts happening in my life, I will talk about it.
yeah. Okay, well, hopefully you keep talking about it because I don't want any weird stuff to happen. Because that's what happens to all those people. Because nobody believes them, and then they go crazy trying to tell everybody, "I'm telling the truth." I mean, that must be a horrible feeling, but I believe you.
Well,
I don't think lies are possible for you.
I appreciate that. I'm on the Mercer podcast saying I saw a UFO, so if I come up missing, this should be online for everybody to see, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, you're not. I mean, you're fine.
Yeah,
You're fine. I mean,
yeah.
aliens don't even watch this podcast. It's fine. I mean, trust me, the last thing they're doing is watching this. I mean, there's a lot of great podcasts. The last thing they're tuning into is this. But I honestly do not believe you know how to lie. And I know that because you're one of the only pros who are like, oh, yeah, we all lie about our baits. So, like, I mean, you don't know how to lie, but you do know how
Yeah.
to, let's say, hide things. Do you really
Yeah.
believe, like, so when we do top 10 lures, what percentage do you think is telling the truth?
I think everybody has a little truth and a little phony. I'm going to say 50-50. I'm going to say they're going to show what we usually show. I only 2 baits most of the time.
Yeah.
I will say they got 1 bait that they have probably thrown during the week, maybe caught a bass on, and 1 bait that they did not throw at all. That I'm gonna say 50%.
That seems really high. Like I feel like, I mean, so they're all we're living a lie. Like this is all just. I mean, how much of yours is a lie? If I go back and look at your top 10 baits,
35%.
So you're better than average.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, a part of it is because the bait company I work for literally makes everything,
Uh-huh.
and I do use a lot of sponsored product baits, but I still use some non-sponsored product baits as everybody else does. Um, but other companies may not make as much. So people may not want to push, of course, a non-sponsored product. So, yeah, I'd say 50% on average is probably not being used in the tournament. And I would say 75% of baits I show are accurate and 35% of them are not. It might be a little high on 35%, but probably pretty close.
So are guys not telling the truth because it's not a company they work with, and they're not telling the truth because they want to keep a particular bait a secret?
It's both.
Yeah.
I think JDM baits, dice and bugs and stuff that really hard to get are being kept a secret. Not really because people don't want to know what you're using, is because some of that stuff is already hard to get, and then when word gets out, it becomes impossible to get. So I think having baits available for us to use has a big part of it.
Yeah.
And I think another part of it is because we're using a non-sponsored product. And I mean, it doesn't always happen, but it does happen. There's certain scenarios where you need to use a different bait. Um, and you just don't you're not supposed to advertise for someone that you're not representing. I mean, that's just part of our job. So it's a 50-50 of wanting to keep something secret. Like I said, not to not help fans out, but to keep it more available to us because believe it or not, sometimes it's really hard to get the tackle that we like to have on our boat. And there's only a small portion of us trying to get it. And yeah, the other part is, we just don't really need to show it. So about half and half.
Is that one of the toughest parts about your job? Because now you see, I mean, even if you, no matter what you show in top 10 baits, we're going to see what you're throwing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? On live for the most part.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's not the toughest part, because most all of us, even if we're not strictly using a sponsor product, we are doing a well enough job that it's not really going to bother the partnerships you have
Yeah.
for the most part. Um, it's just that you don't really it just doesn't really make you feel good when you are selling a different brand's product when you're not trying to.
Yeah.
Um, so I wouldn't say it's the toughest part. It's just one of those deals that's like you don't want it to happen, but it does.
Look how unprofessional I am. I didn't have the light set up, right? Look. Do I look better now or worse? I don't know. I just
Beautiful.
realized it halfway through the podcast. Such an idiot. Um, yeah, and I think that that's one way where live has helped. Like, I think sponsors know. I mean, ultimately, you're working with a company, but ultimately, you got to catch them. And there is situations where not every company makes every bait. There's I think it's actually pushed bait companies, live has pushed bait companies to be better with making baits in the way that, like,
Yeah.
before it wasn't called out. Now they're like, yeah, no, we need to have a bait in that category. I mean, it probably has inspired more knockoffs, but it has helped,
Yeah.
make sure that all the holes are filled.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And um, you know, this as well as anybody is that when I get on my social media and I'm saying, "Hey, they're chewing a Strike King 5XD," it might sell a few plugs, but when you see me pulling in a 7 pounder on the St. Johns River with a 5XD sideways in its mouth, that's what sells the plugs. I mean, it
Yeah.
really does because everyone always has known, like what I said earlier, like, are they really telling the truth? But when you see what guys are using on Bass Live, that's what sells products. I mean, it's not really, yeah, social media is a part of it, but it's like, what is John really using? Because I promise you that if all of us knew what Koya Fujita had tied on his spinning rods every single tournament, we would all go buy a tackle box full of it. I promise. We don't care what brand it is. So the fans like to see what we're actually using, and Bass Live does that.
Yeah. Avco not only makes incredible outdoor clothing, but they care about anglers with their 10% pledge. Avco and the Shed family donate at least 10% of the company's profits to conservation and making fishing better. Now back to the show. What is different about, like, compared to when you were dreaming about being the elites in 2016 and you're here? Is it about the same as you dreamed? Is it different, better, worse? Where?
Um, I don't. It's hard to say because I wasn't here then. Um, you hear all the veterans saying, you know, that those were the good times versus now. But I can promise you that my class, the class before me, the rookie class now, we're having as good of a time as it you could possibly have. You hear the griping, you hear this and that, you hear the outspoken people, but to be honest with you, you don't hear I'm not saying my generation, but the classes around me doing that.
Yeah.
It's because we're just having a blast. We're having a good time. We're grateful to be here. Um, no, we didn't experience what it was, if it was better, if it was worse. We don't know. All we know is that what we have right now, and it's nothing but great. I
Yeah.
mean, we love it. We don't have anything to compare it to, but I'm fine not having anything to compare it to because I know that right now we're having a really good time.
It's funny you say that because I've had that theory for a while. When you hear people my age that are like, "Hey, man, this isn't this isn't what I fell in love with. This isn't." But I'm like, "Yeah, but you're not 20. You're not
Yeah.
25. You're not 30. You know, like, and you keep going back to people go back to when they were 20, 25, and 30, and they're like, these were I felt this way about the sport." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you are not going to feel the same. You will not feel the same way about the sport when you're 50. It's just
Yeah.
natural. You know what I mean? Like you don't and I you're kind of standing behind what I've said. I'm like, I think that the 20-year-olds think it's just as cool as it ever was. And that's kind
Yeah.
of proven by the fact that there's more 20-year-olds doing it now or trying to do it than there ever has been in the past. So that's pretty neat to see. You've had a few adventures on the road, though. I did a little research before we chatted here. Talked
All
to
right.
some of your roommates.
Let's hear what you got.
Tell me about a gas station encounter on Wheeler Lake.
Oh, yeah. I thought I've had 2 gas station encounters.
I,
Um,
I'd like to hear them
yeah.
both.
All right. Wheeler Lake, um, 3rd day of the tournament, I believe, and you were at Wheeler Lake. It was extremely hot. I'm
Oh, good
talking
God.
it was bad. Like,
Yeah.
I may have had a heat stroke on day 4. I don't know. It was just bad, okay? So, day 3, I made championship Sunday. And I'm like, well, good. I made a top 10, but I got to fish another 115-degree day. Let's go get some gas. Let's get some ice. Let's get everything ready to go. So, but you know this, believe it or not, Wheeler or Decatur, Alabama is very small but very busy. Very
Yeah.
busy little town, cars everywhere. I'll pull over at just the most convenient convenience store, which was not the nicest one, but it was on the side of the road I was at. So I pulled over and it was, one of those gas stations where there's a pump on both sides and a small store in the middle. No bathroom, you know, few cigarettes and Gatorades and chocolate bars, and that's about it on the inside. And a lady had walked out the side I parked on, put the gas nozzle in my truck, put the gas nozzle in my boat, and I went to walk in, and the door was locked on my side. And I was like, I could have swore I just saw somebody walk out of there, but I've been sweating all day. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm seeing stuff, And I walk around the other side and open the door, and there was a little drug swap going on at the cash register. At the cash register when I walked in, there was a guy with a full size gallon bag, filled with small Ziploc bags, full of white medicine. Now, I don't know what it was, but it was full of it. And the guy behind the cash register was handing cash over for it. And I walked in,
You don't
looked
think it was
the
little
guy that
pouches of goodies? You know that goodies
it,
pain medic.
taco powder, whatever he puts on his little bugs at St. Lawrence River, that's what they were exchanging here. And I don't know what he uses. I don't know what he's got, but that's what it looked like in those bags. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So I walk in and I look the guy handing drugs, and they both look at me like they've seen a ghost. And I probably look the same way. And my number one thing on the list is I was going to get some body armors. I was going to get drinks and ice and some ice cream. All right, because it's been hot. So I get my drinks and I walk up to the cash register with my drinks, and they were both looking at me. And I was like, well, I won't say a word if I get my ice and my ice cream and my drinks for free. And I was laughing. I was just trying to joke my way out of it. And the guy said, "How do we know you're not a cop?" And I was like, "Dude, I got a fishing jersey on." And I said, "I've been sweating all day. You can probably smell my BO." And I said, "There's my bass boat right out there." I said, "It's got my name on it." And he looked at the boat, and he looked at me, he looked at the cash register, he said, "Get my ice and ice cream." So I I slid open the ice cream tub was right beside the guy with the backpack full of drugs, and I slid it open and I took two Twix ice cream bars, and I was like, "All right, y'all have a good day." And I walked out the door and grabbed my bags of ice and went about my business. Yeah.
So not only do you interrupt a drug deal, you brokered a deal through.
Yeah, I had just a split second to really think about what the position I was in,
Yeah.
and I did not feel endangered at all. Like I never felt like I'm in a bad situation. I don't know why I felt that way. Maybe it was a long, hot day on the water. I may have been delusional. I don't know what instincts kicked in, but my first thought was like, I'm just going to joke my way out of this. And I just like, hey man, get my ice and ice cream for free. I'm not going to say a word. And that's what they did. So got a couple free ice cream bars and two bags. I got the big bags of ice too. I didn't get the small 7-pound bags. I got
Wow.
the big bags. Yeah,
Hell
and
yeah.
filled my cooler up of ice. Yeah,
I can't believe that
yeah,
actually worked.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you could have said anything at that point. They just wanted you to go away.
They wanted me out there. Yeah,
So there's two gas station
yeah.
encounters.
The other one was not really an encounter, as I was in a dire need of a gas station at St. John's River. Um, we all had maybe some bad food the night before. Not
Oh
bad
boy.
food.
So you weren't
Not
like in
bad.
need of a gas station for gas.
I did have gas. Yeah,
No,
matter
no,
of
no.
fact, I did. Yeah,
You
yeah,
didn't need to get gas.
yeah, exactly. But I woke up that morning with a dire need. Let me rewind this a little bit. The night before, I'd stayed up till like midnight rigging rods. Mosquitoes were out, and I went into the house without all of my stuff tightened up. I had rods everywhere, baits everywhere, and just wasn't completely done. Anyway, ended up eating, taking a shower, going to sleep, forgot about it. Woke up that morning in a dire need of a bathroom. And so did everybody else in the house. Both bathrooms were full, and there was a gas station 10 minutes between our house and the ramp. I was like, okay, I'll get ice. I'll use the bathroom. No big deal. About halfway there, it got really serious. Really serious. I needed to use the bathroom very bad. And I was starting to sweat. My eyes were sweating. My armpits are sweating. I'm just holding on
My
for
eyes were
for
sweating.
I mean, I was holding on for dear life. I mean, it was bad. And I go way too fast, like as fast as my truck will go to get this gas station. And I kept hearing this noise around my boat. And every time I look in the mirror, there was no cars. All the cars were just way behind me. I just thought because I was going so fast, I didn't really think nothing about it. I got to the gas station, grabbed my dude wipes, barely made it in on time. And then when I walked back out to my truck, my rod coffins were open and I had no rods in my truck, which started about 50 rods. And the left hand side of my boat, my rods were gone from all the rods I rigged the night before. And my rod box was open, and almost all my plastics had flown out my boat. So, I needed a bathroom a little too bad and drove a little too fast without my stuff strapped down and lost almost everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you go back and get it, or it was?
So I called Cody or Rob that had not made the trip yet, and the few things they had seen were already smashed in the road.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You made it to the bathroom though, right?
I did indeed make it to the bathroom. Yeah. I'm not I'm not saying it was worth losing all that.
No,
No, it
but
wasn't, but it was it was bad shape, yeah.
yeah, but it could have been worse. I mean, you could have
Yeah.
lost all that and then still made a
Not
mess of
made it.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's brutal. Brutal. Spent all that time rigging too. This is the worst thing.
Yep.
So you just went and competed, and I mean, I've never heard about this. So you just grabbed what you had and fished with it, or did you keep it low
Yeah,
key, or
no, I made what I had work. I threw a jerk bait on a worm rod that day. Um, yeah, I made what I had work. Wasn't ideal, but I fished what I had.
yeah. Yeah. What's your dream in life?
My dream in life, probably living it right now.
It's a good
Um,
place to be.
good place to be. Got a good family, good wife. My kid's doing great. I'm chasing green, slimy alien bass around the country right now, and getting a duck hunt in the winter. I mean, yeah. I mean, I love to fish. Love my family. Both are doing great right now. So I mean, it's just there's not a whole lot else I could ask for, to be honest with you. Um, yeah, I'm good right now.
So if a genie landed in front of you and said, "Hey, you get one wish," it would just be not to change things?
No, I'd have to wish for something, Dave.
Oh, well, what would it be?
Mm, the easy answer is to like win a classic or AOI, but I think I might have to go with being able to travel in that UFO, carrying my boat to every Elite Series event for the rest of my life. That way, no more drive time, and I will know what I saw on the way to Okeechobee the other day.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, you won't lose rods. I mean, you'll make it to every
Yeah,
bathroom.
in record time. Those long drives with the kid. It takes a toll on you. So
It
UFO would make it a lot quicker.
I bet. I bet. How bad do you want to win the classic?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely want to. Yeah, that would be awesome. That or AOI is what we all strive for from the very first term of the year. Um, didn't really wasn't. I'm not saying. I mean, we're all hungry for a win, but um, knowing this, looking back on a St. Johns River, if I had known the situation I was in, of course, we all would have, should have, could have.
Yeah.
I would have went and caught two more keepers, you know, and had a chance to win that tournament. Had no Brandon blew the doors off of Okeechobee, but if Brandon hadn't caught him, I was in second place, could have won that tournament. So being really close to winning back to back events, getting a taste of a win last year, um, makes you want to win pretty dang bad. So yeah, want to win pretty bad. It's not everybody wants to win the classic, but it's just more so that I want to win in general. I'm
Yeah.
not saying every single tournament, of course we all do, but like just in general, you want to win. You want to beat you want to beat the brakes off everybody. I mean, that's what satisfies you. I mean, it's just knowing that you outcompeted, you outsmart, you outthought, you outprepared everybody else for that tournament.
Yeah.
And we all want it to be the classic. I mean, the classic is, I don't want to bite my own tongue here, but it's only a 3-day event. You only are competing against 55 guys. So if there was a tournament to just get crazy dumb lucky a couple times and have a chance to win, it's probably the classic. So only getting to fish it once a year against 50 guys, you only got to catch 15 bass instead of 20. Um, you know, that'd be the one to win for sure. And not saying the most doable,
No.
but if stars had aligned, it could probably happen the easiest if that makes sense at all.
Yeah. On paper, it's the easiest tournament to win. I
Yeah.
mean, by far, when you weigh in all those things, I mean, the only thing that makes it difficult is the fact that you'll only get so many of them,
Yep.
to
Exactly. Yep.
fish. And even if you make every one, it's once a year. And
Yep.
and it's also just it's 3 days, but it is a crazy, like, you just watch. It's one of my favorite things. Just watch how, like, I'll look at the room before the classic starts and I'll be like, there's people in this room that, like, you just watch how Hamner's life changed
Yeah.
last year. Like how he went from being kind of a guy that not a lot of people knew. You know what I mean? To, he's leading the classic, and just like, you just watch how, and you watch how the pressure ratchets through the week. There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
It's very cool, and no pressure on you or anything. But I'll put a selfish request in.
Okay.
Last year, the guest right before the classic was Justin Hamner, and now you're the guest right before the classic. So, I mean, if at any moment, if you're close to winning it and you kind of think, this is only my second classic, I'll have more, just do it for me. I mean, just
Okay.
because, I mean, do you realize how, I mean, this podcast can't give a lot to the world, but that could be something, right?
You would have you'd be having people begging to pay, no telling what, to get on your podcast a week before the classic. Be a very sought after
Yeah.
episode
Yeah,
that you may
nobody
have right now.
nobody would want to come on the rest of the year, but that week they'd be like,
Yeah.
"Get me in." Um,
Yeah.
no, no, I mean, make it happen. I mean, if not for anybody else, do it for me, damn it.
Okay.
Um,
All right. Try my best, Dave.
what's going to be different about this classic for you? You've already been to one. It's been a
Yep.
while, but what's going to
Yeah.
be different for you? Have you thought, like, are you doing anything different? Like, will you fish it different, or?
Different from the first one. The first one I fished, I think I was 18, 19, something like that. And I really just wanted to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And I may have said this before, but man, I went in that classic. I practiced how I did when I was 18, and I fished how I did in the tournament, and I wasn't stressed out. And man, it was a blast. I mean, literally, like like I said earlier, it's the reason why I'm here today is because I fished that classic. And I think me stepping back and enjoying that and seeing what it was really about and how it affected people, um, is why I'm here today. So I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I didn't go there stressed out, popping gray hairs, trying to catch bass. And that was the only thing I was worried about. I'm glad I didn't do that because in reality, I was too young, too green, and I just didn't really have a chance to compete with those guys. Um, Now that I've been here for a year and have competed with these guys, like I realize that I can compete, and I'm going to go out practicing, trying to catch and find the biggest bass that I possibly can, and going going to try to win that thing as the other 50 something anglers are going to. But it will be different from my first one. The first one, I'm like, I'm here to enjoy it. This one, I'm going into it and thinking, you know what? Like you said, I may not be able to fish many of these. I may be able to fish the next 30. I don't know, but I'm going to try my best to win every single classic that I get in, as everybody else probably does. Um, so yeah, I'm not going to go there settling for, you know what? What's it going to take a 50 cut? What's it got to take for me to get in that Super
Yeah.
Six or anything like that? I was like, I need to find the winning bass, and I'm going to keep practicing the same way I've been practicing. Um, haven't even done any map study or watching YouTube, or I haven't done
Nothing
anything
yet.
like that. Nothing, nothing yet. I ordered a boat lane map, a couple days ago when I got back, to see where I can run and not run. Hasn't came in yet, but haven't done any studying, so I'm going to do the same exact thing that I always do: go out, fresh set of mind, and try to locate where those big bass are. I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, I think it's going to be, um, probably a little heavier weight than I believe what they saw in the June Classic. I can't
Oh
remember
yeah.
exactly what one. I think it's going to be
I've
a really good tournament. I think we're going to see a lot more big bass, and that's kind of what I'm going to try to put myself around, and we'll try to find the big ones and win that thing. So,
have you dreamed of that moment?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, um, really since that Jay Ellis video and that Jordan Lee moment. The Jay Ellis moment is, to me thinking, man, that's awesome. The Jordan Lee moment, thinking, could be me one day. You know, um, but yeah, I mean, it would. I've dreamed of it, thought about it, and I'll be first time fishing in a while. That tournament with that opportunity, um, getting to see that classic trophy, you know, during the meeting and briefing and check in, and the 50 drone fly around videos y'all are gonna post on Instagram of the trophy. So I'll be in the same room as that trophy for sure, and as everyone else, the goal is to hold that thing and take it home. So
Would you touch the trophy? Some people are very superstitious. They won't touch the trophy. Would you touch it?
I don't I don't know. I don't feel any way about that.
Yeah.
Um, I might treat it like how I treat my wife sometimes. It's like, should I give her a hug or does she need space? It's hard, sometimes it's hard to read the room, but you get this gut feeling right before you do something. So I'll look it in the eye, I'll look at that classic trophy. I'll decide then whether I touch it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might
Well,
I might take it a step further. I might take a selfie with it. I don't know. We'll see how it feels.
I mean, you can take lots of selfies with it, especially if you win it come Sunday
Yeah,
night. I
yeah,
mean,
yep,
it. I mean, just do it for the freaking show, is what I'm saying.
yeah. All
Do
right,
it for the
I'll try my
show.
best. Yeah.
All right. Don't screw it up. Hamner's going to be upset that I didn't have him on, but he's
Yeah,
busy doing what a
better
defending
things.
champion does.
Yeah.
What's your favorite sound on earth?
Favorite sound? Can I go with two?
Yeah.
There's
whatever
two
you
that
want.
There's two that just popped in my mind. You may not be able to relate with this one, Dave, but you might be able to. Is when I'm sitting in the duck blind in a timber hole on just a crystal clear sunny day, and I just hear a Drake Mallard just bzzz, just that. Everything's quiet, and you hear that, and when you have a duck do that, it's like, okay, we're about to get something in here. You don't always see it right off the bat. The sun may be in your eye, but that's one of those like, all right, y'all ease down, y'all get ready. Something cool is about to happen. That noise is like, it's about to go down. In the duck hunting world, it's about to go
Yeah.
down. Um, the second noise is probably just a bass blowing up. Just you get that. Every bass fisherman has that. You know, bass striking noise just lodged in their brain. You can hear gar and bluegill popping and carp slapping their tail, but when that bass eats, it's a specific noise, and we all have it lodged in our brain. We all love hearing it. So those two noises popped up.
I've run a Yamaha outboard for over 30 years. It has got me home safe each and every time. If you enjoy this podcast, remember, Yamaha supports it and they care enough about you to make this ad read very short. Now back to the show. What advice if 18-year-old John Garrett was just fishing this class, like had just finished, if that dude could teleport and give you some advice going into this classic, what advice would he remind you to do?
Win. Just win.
That's a great advice. Just win.
That's it. Just win the
Seems
tournament,
cooler
man.
that way, for sure.
Yeah, just win. Yeah.
What's your greatest fishing memory? Do you have one that stands out?
I got one that um I got two, but one of them I was in the backyard of my granddad, and we had every time we go fishing. I was at a young age. I was probably like 5 years old. He would bring fish back from Reelfoot, dump them in the pond, and there was too many fish in that pond to count, and not enough bait in there for them to eat. So they were very hungry, and I begged him to go out fishing right after the pond unthawed. And he tied me on a red crankbait, and I had on a reel I just got from Christmas. It was a button reel, a rhino button reel. Um, and it was red and silver and black. And I thought it looked like a Lamborghini at the time. I just absolutely loved it. And we had done almost a full circle around this pond, and neither one of us had taken a bite, which is very, very hard to do because how many bass are in that thing. And I caught one. It was the first bass I'd ever caught where I'd thrown out there and reeled it in, got the bite, and got it back to the bank. And I hooked a bass, thought I was hung up, ended up reeling a 3 pounder about that far from my rod tip up to the bank. And that was the first ever bass I caught cast to catch for me. Um, and that I won't ever forget that. I mean, it just only bass we caught that day, brand new stuff my granddad got me for Christmas. I mean, that was pretty special to me. And there was another time when me and my granddad were out on a local lake near here, and we had been catching a lot of fish that day, and he had made a long cast at some fish schooling, and there was a fork in a tree, and his walking bait went right between the fork and wrapped around a limb, and it hit the limb and unwrapped and hit the water, and he caught a 12 pounder when it hit the water.
Come on.
And I grabbed that fish and I went nuts. I thought he done caught the state record. I've never seen anything close to that size in my life. Um, but yeah, those are two fishing memories that just pop in my head every time.
They're two pretty special ones.
Yep.
Very different, but both incredible.
Yeah.
So let's add a third one
Okay.
on the classic stage.
You want to hear?
Oh,
Oh,
you got a
classic
third.
steak.
Oh, wow, you got another
No,
one. Keep them
no,
coming. I mean, if you got
no.
more.
I was going to think on that one. All right, go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. Oh, let's just go win a classic.
Yeah,
Simple. Boom. And then, I mean, you're set yourself up to win a classic. You're leading angler of the year. I mean, you got 2 close misses, as you said. I mean, how much more motivation does a man need?
none,
None.
none. I mean, um, I told you earlier, I don't know how my tournaments went so well, but like when things are flowing good, you're making the right moves. You get these little intuitions throughout the day. Doesn't happen often as a bass angler. I mean, most of the time it slumps with a few bright high spots along the way. Um, but the past few tournaments, the thing's just been rolling, and hope that continues. I mean, the classic is kind of hitting at a good time, to have some good motivation rolling. So may come dead last, but I feel good going into it, just because of how the years has gone so far.
Yeah. Well, don't stop thinking about dead last. Just visualize it's going to happen.
Yeah,
Make it
yeah,
happen. I mean, there's only 54 other guys that can stand in your way, and
yeah.
you're leading angler of the year. And I appreciate you doing this, dude.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, appreciate you having me on, and hopefully, or yeah, maybe hopefully, no more, or maybe more UFOs to come between
Maybe,
now and the next time we talk. Maybe
dude. I mean, the UFO could have been. I mean, they know who's going to win the classic. They got that all figured out already. So maybe
they
that's why they
probably
were circling. I mean,
maybe that was a sign. Maybe that was a
yeah.
sign.
How many
Yeah,
more signs do you need? You heard it here first. 2025 Bassmaster Classic champion John Garrett. I like the sounds of that.
sounds good. How about this? If I win, I don't even know if you
Okay.
got room for it up there.
What?
I'll try to make you a bobblehead to stick up there on that thing. I don't
Oh,
know if
hell.
I'm worthy of that or not, but if I win the
Oh,
classic, yeah.
even if you don't win it, you send me a bobblehead of yourself, I'll put it up there. But if you do win it, it'd be so much cooler. And then,
Okay. All right.
okay, and then let's make a first podcast appearance after you win. It's got to
Yeah.
be here, right?
Sounds good. Absolutely.
And we already proved you can't lie about nothing but lures. So
Yeah.
just go make it happen.
Sounds good. We're gonna
Thank
try.
you. Thank you. We'll see you in a few days.
See you, bud.
Thank you, John Garrett, and good luck in the Bassmaster Classic. I hope you guys all have a wonderful Classic week. It is going to be a fun one. Hey, find me at the Bassmaster Classic. Remember, check out Officially Unofficial. I'll put the link down below. We talk all about the no information rule. There is a lot of craziness flying around. Like people are saying, well, if a guy just says something as you're walking down the street, you can get DQ'd. No, it takes more than that. Don't take my opinion for it. Listen to 4 amazing anglers as they break down the no information rule, how it helps them, how it hurts them, the good, the bad, the ugly of it all, rather than just reading somebody's misinformed comment on the internet. Have a great week. Enjoy being. I'll see you at the Bassmaster Classic. Holler at me and I'll try to say hello. Would love to meet you all there. And as always, Bob Cobb, take it away.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe because Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters told you to. You hear?